You've spent years explaining yourself to others, haven't you? Every decision, every choice, every path you've taken has required justification to someone who probably wasn't even walking in your shoes. Today, that ends. Today, you begin building your mental fortress, brick by brick, with the timeless wisdom of Stoicism as your foundation. Think about the last time you felt compelled to explain your actions. That knot in your stomach, that rehearsal of words in your mind, that desperate need to make others understand, these are the chains you forge for yourself. Every time you feel the urge to justify your existence, your choices, or your values to others, you're handing over pieces of your power. You're essentially saying that their opinion of you matters more than your own understanding of yourself. The Stoics understood this trap thousands of years ago, and their wisdom remains your key to freedom. When you constantly explain yourself, you're not just wasting energy, you're actively weakening your mental fortress. Each explanation is like removing a stone from your defensive walls, leaving you vulnerable to the opinions and judgments of others. You become a puppet, dancing to the tune of everyone else's expectations. Your mind, instead of focusing on growth and virtue, becomes consumed with crafting the perfect explanation, the right words to make others approve. But here's the truth that will set you free. You were never meant to live as a defendant in the court of public opinion. The Stoics teach us about the dichotomy of control, understanding what lies within your power and what doesn't. Other people's opinions outside your control, their understanding of your motives beyond your reach, but your own actions, your own thoughts, your own commitment to virtue. These are your domain, your kingdom, your absolute sovereignty. When you grasp this fundamental truth, you stop wasting precious mental energy on explanations that serve no purpose except to feed others' curiosity or judgment. Internal validation versus external approval, this is where your transformation begins. You've been programmed by society to seek approval like a drug, to measure your worth by the nods and smiles of others. But the Stoics knew better. They understood that true strength comes from within, from aligning your actions with your values, regardless of who's watching or what they might think. When you validate yourself internally, you become like a mountain unmoved by the winds of opinion that blow around you. Your confidence doesn't come from others' understanding or approval. It comes from self-knowledge, from the deep understanding of who you are and what you stand for. When you know yourself truly, when you've examined your values and found them worthy, when you've aligned your actions with virtue, that's when unshakable confidence emerges. This isn't arrogance or stubbornness, it's the quiet strength of someone who has found their center and refuses to be pulled away from it. Building this confidence through virtue means making decisions based on wisdom, justice, courage, and temperance, the four cardinal virtues of Stoicism. When your actions stem from these virtues, you need no explanation. Your life becomes your statement. Your choices speak for themselves. You move through the world with the quiet dignity of someone who knows their path is righteous, not because others approve, but because it aligns with the highest good. The power of silence cannot be overstated. When you stop explaining yourself, something magical happens. You reclaim all that energy you were spending on justification and redirect it toward growth. Silence becomes your shield, your statement, your strength. Not the silence of weakness or fear, but the silence of someone who has nothing to prove. When challenged, when questioned, when prodded for explanations, you can simply be. Your presence, your actions, your consistency become your response. Selective engagement is your sword. You choose when to speak, when to share, when to open up, not from a place of obligation or defense, but from a place of wisdom and choice. You engage when it serves a purpose aligned with your values, not when you're trying to win approval or avoid criticism. This selectivity isn't rudeness, it's the practical application of wisdom, recognizing that your time and energy are finite resources that should be invested, not scattered. Your daily practices become the training ground for this inner authority. Each morning you wake not to check what others think of you, but to check in with yourself. Are you living according to your values? Are your actions aligned with virtue? This daily self-examination isn't self-judgment, it's self-awareness, the foundation of all wisdom. Throughout your day, when you feel that old urge to explain yourself rising, you pause. You ask yourself, is this explanation necessary for the good? Will it serve virtue? Or am I simply trying to manage someone else's perception of me? More often than not, you'll find it's the latter, and in that recognition, you'll find your freedom. You stand firm in your decisions, not from stubbornness, but from the deep knowing that you've made them with wisdom and virtue as your guides. This is your mental armor, forged in the fires of daily practice and tempered by the wisdom of the Stoics. This is your foundation of inner sovereignty, unshakable and true. Now that you understand the foundation of inner sovereignty, it's time to forge your mental armor through daily practice. This isn't just philosophy, this is your practical routine for becoming invincible to the need for explanation, impervious to the arrows of judgment, and unshakable in your resolve. Your morning is where the battle is won or lost. Before the world can assault you with its demands and opinions, you must fortify yourself. Wake up just 15 minutes earlier than usual. This time is your sacred preparation. Begin with stillness. Sit quietly and breathe deeply, not to empty your mind, but to fill it with intention. The Stoics called this premeditatio, the practice of mental preparation. You're not just waking up, you're armoring up. In these quiet moments, reflect on the day ahead. What challenges might arise? Who might demand explanations from you? Where might you feel the pull to justify yourself? See these situations clearly in your mind, not with dread, but with calm preparation. Visualize yourself responding with dignity, without the need to explain or defend. See yourself standing firm in your values, unmoved by others' opinions or demands for justification. Set your intentions like a warrior sharpening their sword. Today, you will act according to virtue. Today, you will not waste energy on unnecessary explanations. Today, you will respond, not react. These aren't just morning affirmations, they're battle plans, strategies for maintaining your mental fortress throughout the day. Write them down if you must, carry them with you, but most importantly, embed them in your heart. Your Stoic shield is the principle that will protect you throughout the day, the clear distinction between what's in your control and what isn't. This isn't just an intellectual exercise, it's your active defense system. When someone questions your decisions, immediately ask yourself, is their opinion in my control? No. Is my response in my control? Yes. This instant mental check becomes your reflex, your automatic defense against the urge to explain yourself. Practice this distinction constantly. When you feel criticism coming your way, don't dodge it or defend against it. Hold up your Stoic shield. Their words, their judgments, their misunderstandings, all outside your control. Your virtue, your response, your inner peace entirely within your control. This shield doesn't make you callous or indifferent. It makes you wise and efficient with your mental energy. Here's where your training becomes transformative. Every piece of criticism, every judgment thrown your way becomes raw material for growth. When someone says you're wrong, selfish, misguided, whatever the accusation, you don't explain or defend. Instead, you examine. Is there truth in their words that can help you grow? If yes, you extract that truth like gold from ore, grateful for the opportunity to improve. If no, you let their words pass through you, like wind through trees, acknowledging their presence but remaining unswayed. This transformation requires mental alchemy. You're turning the lead of criticism into the gold of wisdom. When someone demands an explanation for your choices, you ask yourself, what can I learn here? Perhaps you learn about their values, their fears, their perspectives. Perhaps you learn about your own triggers, your own areas for growth. But you learn without explaining, without defending, without justifying. You become a student of human nature, not a defendant in its court. As your day winds down, your evening review becomes your second fortress building session. This isn't about judging yourself harshly for moments when you slipped and explained yourself unnecessarily. This is about reinforcement, about celebrating the moments when you stood firm, when you chose silence over justification, when you responded with wisdom instead of reacting with defense. Sit quietly again and replay your day. Where did you maintain your mental armor? Where did you feel it crack? Without self-condemnation, examine these moments. What triggered the urge to explain? What could you do differently tomorrow? This review isn't about perfection, it's about progress. Each day you're getting stronger, more centered, more sovereign over your own mind. During this evening practice, reinforce your values and decisions. Remind yourself why you chose what you chose, not to prepare explanations for others, but to deepen your own conviction. When you know deeply why you act as you do, when your values are crystal clear to you, the need to explain to others naturally falls away. You become like a tree with deep roots. Storms may blow, but you remain standing, not because you're rigid, but because you're deeply grounded. The art of responding versus reacting is your daily masterpiece. Reactions are instant, emotional, defensive. They come from fear, from the need to protect your ego, from the compulsion to be understood. Responses are chosen, measured, wise. They come from strength, from inner security, from the knowledge that you need no external validation. When challenged, you pause. This pause is your power. In that space between stimulus and response, you choose. Will you react with explanations and justifications, or will you respond with calm confidence? Will you dance to their tune, or will you maintain your own rhythm? This pause becomes shorter with practice, until it's imperceptible to others, but still present for you a moment of choice that defines your freedom. Your mental armor routine isn't about becoming hard or uncaring. It's about becoming wise and efficient with your energy. It's about choosing where to invest your words, your explanations, your emotional labor. Through morning fortification and evening reinforcement, through the daily practice of distinguishing control and transforming criticism, through the art of thoughtful response, you become impervious to the need for constant explanation. You become truly free. You've built your foundation, you've forged your armor. Now comes the culmination of your journey, living unapologetically through wisdom. This isn't about becoming harsh or inconsiderate. This is about stepping into the fullness of who you are, guided by virtue, freed from the exhausting need to justify your existence to anyone but yourself. Feel the weight lifting from your shoulders as you embrace true self-acceptance. For years, you've carried the burden of others' potential disapproval, crafting explanations before anyone even asked for them, preparing defenses for attacks that might never come. But now you understand self-acceptance isn't about thinking you're perfect. It's about knowing you're human, striving for virtue, and that this striving is enough. You don't need to explain your imperfections or justify your journey. You are where you are, going where you're going, and that's exactly where you need to be. This freedom that comes from self-acceptance is intoxicating, but it's not reckless. It's the measured freedom of someone who has found their center. You wake up each morning not wondering what others will think of your choices, but asking yourself, are my actions aligned with wisdom, justice, courage, and temperance? When the answer is yes, you move forward without hesitation, without explanation, without apology. When the answer is no, you adjust not because others demand it, but because your own commitment to virtue requires it. The Stoic path of authentic action is narrow but clear. Every choice you make stems from your values, not from fear of judgment. You choose your career based on what aligns with your principles, not what sounds impressive at social gatherings. You choose your relationships based on mutual respect and growth, not on who makes you look good to others. You choose your words based on truth and kindness, not on what will make others comfortable with your decisions. This authenticity might disturb some people. They're used to the old you, the one who explained, justified, and sought approval. Your new way of being might confuse them, might even anger them, But here's the profound truth. Their discomfort with your authenticity is not your burden to carry. You're not responsible for managing their emotions or expectations. You're responsible for living according to virtue, and that's exactly what you're doing. Breaking free from the prison of others' opinions is like emerging from a dark cave into sunlight. At first, it might hurt your eyes. You might feel exposed, vulnerable. But as you adjust, you realize you've been living in shadows, mistaking them for reality. Others' opinions are just that, opinions. They're not facts, they're not truth, they're not your reality, unless you allow them to be. The prison door was never locked. You were simply afraid to turn the handle. Now you turn it daily. When someone disapproves of your choices, you acknowledge their right to their opinion while maintaining your right to your path. You don't argue, you don't explain, you don't justify. You simply continue walking your road, guided by the internal compass of virtue. Their disapproval might sting momentarily. You're human, after all, but it doesn't derail you. You've broken free from needing their approval to validate your existence. Creating boundaries that protect your peace becomes your daily practice. These aren't walls built from anger or hurt. They're gardens cultivated with wisdom. You decide who has access to your inner world, who deserves explanations, who has earned the right to your vulnerability. This isn't about becoming closed off, it's about becoming discerning. Your energy is precious, your peace is sacred, and you guard them not with aggression, but with quiet determination. When someone demands explanations you're not willing to give, your boundary holds firm. Made my decision becomes a complete sentence. I'm comfortable with my choice requires no elaboration. Thank you for your concern closes doors to unwanted intrusion. These boundaries aren't rude, they're respectful of both your energy and others' time. You're no longer participating in the exhausting dance of explanation and justification. Your boundaries also protect others from your old patterns. You stop over-explaining to people who didn't ask. Stop justifying to those who don't care. Stop defending positions that need no defense. In doing so, you give others the gift of clarity and directness. Your relationships become more authentic because they're based on who you really are, not on who you think others want you to be. The ultimate liberation arrives when you become your own judge and jury. This isn't about becoming self-righteous or unable to accept feedback. It's about developing such a clear moral compass, such a strong connection to virtue, that you can accurately assess your own actions. You know when you've acted with wisdom or from fear. You know when you've chosen courage or taken the easy path. You know when you've been just or when you've been unfair. This self-judgment isn't harsh or punitive, it's honest and growth-oriented. When you fall short of your ideals, you don't need others to point it out. You already know. You correct course not because someone demanded an explanation, but because your own standards require it. When you act with virtue, you don't need external validation. The alignment with your values is reward enough. You stand here not in arrogance, but in quiet confidence. You've learned that explaining yourself to others is often just seeking permission to be who you already are. You've discovered that living according to virtue makes explanations unnecessary. You've realized that the only approval you need is from the person you see in the mirror each morning. This is your life now, unapologetic, but not unkind, firm but not rigid, self-assured but not closed to growth. You move through the world like a river, powerful and directed, flowing around obstacles without explanation, carving your own path according to natural law. You've donned your mental armor not to fight others, but to protect your peace. You've embraced wisdom not to judge others, but to guide yourself. The transformation is complete, but the journey continues. Each day brings new opportunities to practice, new moments to choose response over reaction, new chances to live unapologetically through wisdom. You are free. You are sovereign. You are complete, and you need explain that to no one.